We'll just give it another minute so the other attendees can join as well, and then we'll get started. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining in, and we'll be talking about the Workbooks plugin, Email to Case. So my name is Heather, and I'm part of the Workbooks support team. And we're running these webinars on a bi-weekly basis on a Wednesday at 4 p.m. GMT. The next one is going to be on 26th of November, where my colleague will talk about tips and tricks in Workbooks. The agenda for today's session will be a brief introduction to Email to Case, discuss the steps involved in setting up Email to Case, talk about some advanced configuration with this plugin, and touch on some best practices and recap the session. And then finally, we'll open up for some questions. Thank you. So, what is Email to Case? Simply put, Email to Case is a email ticketing system, which is used to transform emails coming in into trackable tickets or cases. It is a free of cost plugin that is available to all Workbooks users. So there are a lot of benefits to using a ticketing system as such. Some of them are you can ensure that no email or query coming in is lost. It also reduces the number of duplicate tickets or cases created as compared to when done manually. It also allows for better case management as you have visibility over the issue, the priority, the progress, and finally the resolution that has been provided. It also allows for, you can also report on the tickets or cases created in Workbooks, as this helps you monitor trends, report on KPI to improve quality or service. The Email to Case is there's a lot of flexible configuration available for this plugin. For example, we can decide which email gets created as a case, or it gets updated, or if no action is to be taken. Then there's also, you can also set up automated emails. So you can also send out automated responses for when an email comes in or creates a case or when it updates the ticket. And then you can also get the email to case process to auto-populate a few fields on the case record so that when the Workbooks user opens the record, they don't have to fill in as many fields. And it's not limited to a single inbox, but it has to be a shared mailbox. And so you could have email to case set up for multiple shared mailboxes. And also supports the migration from other ticketing systems. Some of the use cases for the email to case is, for example, in the support or the help desk, you could use it to track service requests coming in. For sales, you could use it as a centralized platform to manage customer queries, or for example, when a new product is launched. And similarly, HR can use this to manage internal requests coming in from colleagues. So in this slide, we're going to see the basics of how email to case works. So first, you have a user, you have a recipient, and they send an email to an email address, which is monitored by the email to case process. The email lands in your the email lands in your inbox, and the email to case process will scan the inbox, and then the process decides if that case is to be created in Workbooks or update an existing case. And finally, the record appears in Workbooks. So some prerequisites before we start setting up the process is it is beneficial to have a workbook system admin with you while doing this, because you might not, to ensure you have the correct capabilities and permissions. You would need the credentials for the shared mailbox. You would need a Microsoft 365 admin for your tenant to verify the credentials and to provide the correct access when completing OAuth. And then you would need to possibly create 3 subfolders under the shared mailbox that you plan to use for the email to case process. Now we'll get started. Now this is where we'll review the actual configuration, and this section will be split out into 2 parts. So the basic setup. So the basic steps for the email to case to get the email to case process up and running, we'll see on we'll talk about them on the slide deck. And for the advanced configuration part, we'll jump into a product for that. So, as for most plugins, you start by installing. As with most plugins in Workbooks, you would start by going into installing the plugin by going into Start, Configuration, Automation. And you come down to this screen, click on the Add Plugin button, and over here, click on the Email to Case, find the plugin, and then install that. And then once you install it and it's been successful, you should see this screen. So just come out of the configuration and reopen it, at which point you should see within the other integrations menu, Email to Case setting appear. And let's start by adding our first email to case process, right? So with this, so some of these fields are mandatory, some will be automatically populated, and some are optional. So for example, the process name, it's been auto-populated, and some other fields, but then we have the email address. So this is the address of the shared mailbox that we want the email to case process, we want the process to look at. Falling down on that page, again, we have this section, we have that field or mail from. So this is the email address that will be used by the process to send out responses, automated responses, when a email comes in. And this needs to be configured within email accounts in Workbooks. And then you can choose to set a value for the largest message size, but that is optional. And then this is where we tell the process which folders to look, which folders to scan for when emails come in, and where to move them. So for example, in this example, we're gonna say that when a sorry, just a second. So for example, we're going to say when the case is first created in Workbooks, when a case is created based off an email, we move it to the folder in our shared mailbox called case emails processed. And then if there was an for the process archive folder, you can see the bit of text underneath. So if there was a email that came in and we didn't want to create a case or update a case, we could move it to a separate folder so that a colleague could go over that, go through that folder, and then manually deal with that ticket, with that email. And then finally, the updated IMAP archive folder is for when an email comes in and it's updated ticket, which folder do we want to move that ticket to? and then finally click on the add button. And then once you've done that, you should see a screen like this come up. It'll actually, and then you'll see that the authorization is required. And at this stage, you get the Microsoft 365 admin to complete the OAuth. And when you click on the authorize button, a screen, a window as such should open up to complete the OAuth. Once you've authorized, the OAuth status changes, and you will see, as you can notice, it says authorize now. So now let's jump into the product to review further configuration and finish setting up our email to case process. Oh, look at that picture. It looks like there's a bull in the office. Let's get the email to case process up and running quick, as our HR might need it soon. So what I'll do is really quickly send off this email to our HR. And by the time we finish setting up the process, hopefully a case will be created for that email. Right. Sorry, just a second. So let's first start by looking into the looking at the other integrations bit. Sorry, it took a second. Yep, and as we can see, everything that we configured previously is there. And when we set up the email to case via the plugin, it automatically creates a scheduled process in the background. So if you open up this email to case, and this is where we do some of the more advanced configuration. I won't go through each parameter because there are a lot, but I'll talk you through some of the key ones. And also some of these would have been auto-populated based on the values or the settings we configured previously in the email to case setting plugins UI. So let's start by talking about the first. Let's start by talking about some of the more important ones. So as you can see, the case receive status, case priority, product category, queue, and case type. These are all fields on the case record, and you can use these to, some of these you can use to set up, you can use to update a field when an email comes in, and some for when a case is created. For example, by default, when if this parameter is left blank, when an email comes in, and it either updates the it will update the case record as case received status field as in progress. And here you can create here are the parameters or values you can enter that you wish to see populated on the case record when a case is created based off an email. Then you have the create acknowledgement email, and then you have another one called updated acknowledgement email. And this is basically to say, obviously the first one would be when when a case is created based off an email, you can send out an acknowledgement email. So you use this parameter, and likewise for updated. So for example, if an email comes in and has updated the case record, you can send out an automated acknowledgement email. But both of these would be superseded by, for example, for the create acknowledgement email, create template name, this template would be sent out to the customer over the acknowledgement email here, and likewise for update template name and update acknowledgement email. Moving on from there, this parameter tells the process what to do when a case comes in and it doesn't match a valid Workbooks case record. So by default, I think it will be to move it to a process folder so somebody deals with it. But for this setup, we said that if a case comes into Workbooks, let's create a ticket for that. So if a ticket email comes into the shared mailbox, let's create a ticket for that. And let's talk about this one. So obviously, we spoke about this earlier. So this is the mail from field. This is the address that will be used to send out automated responses by the process. The notification suppression rejects. This is used to stop other automated systems from creating cases in our system. Um, Automated responses from other systems to create cases. And you do this by mentioning words from the subject line. So for example, um, if you receive a lot of emails where you have the subject with those words, mail delivery failed, and you don't want to create a ticket for them, you could update this parameter as so, and you start it with the / and \. And if you want to add multiple of these conditions or keywords, you can separate it using the pipe character. Yep. Now let's have a quick look at the case. Let's have a quick look at the process logs. Great. We can see that the email we sent a few moments ago and the process ran, and it has created a case 5809. Let's have a quick look at the case. And we can see a case has been created. So the way the email is transformed into like information is pulled out from the email body to the case is, as you would see, the subject becomes the summary, and the email body becomes the description. And because I had a person record in my system for this email address, it's been picked up and it's been associated with the person record. And if we could, and had we configured other fields, then based on that, based on the settings in our parameter over here, for example, the create case queue, have we set it to a different queue, the workbooks fields would have been populated accordingly. Um, Yep, and that's it for our demo within the product. I will go back to the slide deck. So some best practices with the email to case rules can be set up within Outlook. For example, when an email comes from when an email comes in from an internal from a colleague, and we don't want our standard email to case process to pick it up, we can have a separate email to case process for that and have that pick it up instead and raise it accordingly. We can set up our parameters as we saw previously on the multi-case process in line with our internal workflow. So it reduces the amount of time it takes users to fill in data and triage cases. We can create acknowledgement email or updated email templates so that they go out whenever a email comes in. And also we can use those to establish SLAs for customers contacting us so that they have visibility over when to expect a response from us. Also, as I mentioned previously, it is important to make sure the mail from field is updated in workbooks. When it is configured within the email to case process, it is important that we set up the email account in workbooks so that the process can use those credentials to send emails or automated responses out of workbooks. So to recap today's session, um, Uh, uh, email to case is a ticketing system that automates the creation of cases from emails. The benefits include that emails aren't lost, duplicates aren't created, improved management of the support tickets or cases created. There's a lot of and the flexible configuration available. And it is not that it can only be used by help desk, but by various departments within the business. Um, and as we saw in one of the slides, previous slides, the process starts by when an email arrives in a monitored mailbox, and then the email to case process will scan the inbox, determine if a case is to be created or updated, and then we'll go about doing so accordingly. And this is all controlled by the parameters of the process in Workbooks. The prerequisites include that the users have the appropriate capabilities, email credentials, and a Microsoft 365 admin rights. And then advanced configuration includes configuring the auto population of different fields in Workbooks, and the automated responses going out from Workbooks when emails come in, and then updating the notification suppression parameter so that um, so that so that we don't have duplicate emails created for automated responses from external addresses. Um, yep. And now we can open up for questions. Sorry, apologies. I think if everybody tries putting in the questions within the chat, then we can try answering them. Thank you, Simon. So we do have a few questions coming in. Let's try and answer them. So the question is, say you were one about setting up mailbox, about setting up a do we need to have a shared mailbox, or can it be an individual mailbox? I think no. So it has to be a shared mailbox. It doesn't work for a private or an individual mailbox. The second one is I don't have Microsoft 365. Is there so is there cost associated with it? Thank you for your question. So there isn't a cost associated with it from Workbooks, but you would need to have a valid licenses from Microsoft. Um, as I mentioned earlier on in the plugin, as I mentioned earlier on in the webinar, the plugin is available to all customers within the automation section of the automation section. And yeah, so you would just need to have a Microsoft license in order to use that. Also, this might be something for your IT team, internal IT team to review. Any other questions? Yes, I think it does. So Microsoft licenses are chargeable, and we don't provide that. We just provide the plugin within Workbooks. So it is. So you will have to purchase I think at the very least a Exchange Sync license from from Microsoft, in order to use this plugin. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry, I don't. Sorry, yes, apologies. I don't have the figures, but I think you could do a quick Google search and you could find out. But again, I would like to go back to a point that this is something you should review with your IT team, as they would be able to advise you better on this than us. Thank you. Um, Questions from anybody else? Perfect. We'll move on. So the next drop-in webinar will be on the 26th of November, and it will be on tips and tricks. So please do check out our knowledge base, as it's a great place to get started when you're trying to look up information on different product areas in workbooks. But if you are stuck or have any questions or require further assistance, then please do reach out to us to support, or likewise contact your account manager. Um, there's tons of recordings and videos available on our website, which covers a whole uh, different various different subjects. And we also do record all of our webinars. So if you have missed a previous webinar or would like to review or would like to see one again or review it again, then please do head over to our webinar recordings on workbooks.com/resources. Um, Thank you all for attending, and see you next time.